guys, ETN Study here from Sunbros, and welcome to the Raz official guide, part 1. We're going to be covering abilities, tips, and tricks today, and I've been playing a lot of Raz, and I'm really excited to show you guys all the tips and tricks and all the cool stuff I've learned about him and how he plays. So let's first start by talking a little bit about the hero. Raz, he's a normal skin, it's called the 5th skin. Looks pretty bossy. He's got fire in his hands, got fire in his chest, fire in his back. He's just looking cool. He's got some sick dreads. Pretty nice little uniform. Great skin. His class is Assassin Mage. As you guys can see, his ability damage and damage are difficulty rather are off the charts, almost all the way maxed out. And that is going to be because he's a heck of a hard hero to play. He's very, very difficult. So let's take a look at his second skin real quick. The Zulu Warrior skin, which is pretty phenomenal. He's got a really cool looking mohawk headdress on with a skull, and he just looks dope. Looks awesome all around. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about his first ability. His first ability is his passive, Fancy Footwork. Raz's footwork moves him closer to his enemies on his second and third consecutive normal attacks. The third normal attack deals extra magic damage, knocks back enemies, and stuns them. Actually a really solid passive, but very difficult to control, and we're going to talk about that during the tips and tricks section of the video. But the next ability is going to be Rising Uppercut. It's got 10 second cooldown, 70 energy, and Raz unleashes a powerful uppercut that deals a bunch of damage to enemies within range and knocks enemies into the air, restoring energy if the ability hits an enemy. We'll see that be true with everyone. All of his abilities restore energy. Yeah, it's really cool, dudes. This is a phenomenal ability. Does a crap ton of damage and sets them up for a really nasty combo, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. His second ability is Power Surge. 4-second cooldown, 40 energy. Raz launches a projectile from his fist, which looks like a freaking fireball. It deals a bunch of damage to enemies in his path, briefly reducing their magic defense and movement speed. Restores 25 energy if the ability hits an enemy. So this is kind of his poke ability. It hits like a truck, guys. It hits so hard, and it is a good crowd control ability because the slow is significant. It reduces magic defense and movement speed, but the movement speed reduction is really good. It's like, if I had to guess, I'd probably say 60 to 75%. It's pretty nice. Maybe even more than that. So does a ton of damage. It's a really nice poke ability. You're going to be doing it to minions. You're going to be doing it to the enemy heroes from a pretty good distance. And it's going to be the ability to use most often. Very low cooldown and really quality range. Next, we're going to go to his ultimate, Explosive KO. Got a 25-second cooldown, and it uses up 110 energy. Raz throws an extremely powerful punch, dealing an F-ton of damage to enemies in his path, knocking them back and reducing their attack damage for 2.5 seconds. So it reduces their damage that they do to you. And it restores 25 energy if the ability hits an enemy. So that is the move that Raz uses, where he essentially dashes forward, pushing the enemy back and just punching them in the face and doing a ridiculous amount of damage. And now we're going to talk about the tricks and tips of using his abilities in proper succession. We're going to start with the passive. My number one trick and tip with a passive is going to be to always be aware of how you're positioning Raz when you're next to an enemy, because he will dash on the second and third punch. He will dash to the enemy. And you can use that to your advantage, so I would definitely keep that in mind. Always be thinking about timing out your third basic attack, because it will do a knockback and a stun, and it can change a 1v1 fight. It can keep you alive. It can also, turn the tide on the enemy and help you get that, amazing kill. But it is just, you gotta be good Razes are the ones who are aware of and properly using not just the stun and the knockback, but also they're using his passive to position the enemy heroes where they want them to be, because positioning with Raz is everything. Next tips and tricks we're going to talk about is Rising Uppercut. Rising Uppercut is the ability in Raz's toolkit that helps him set up everything. And the number one tip I'm going to tell you about this one is that it will go through enemies. It won't stop when you hit an enemy. It will go through them, and because of that, it's important that you position yourself to where you want to be. If you want to land just in front of your enemy, if you want to land behind them, or if you want to land right on them, it's important that you do that. because one of the best combinations you have in the game is to hit somebody with your second ability, Power Surge, the Fireball, then go in with the uppercut, but you have to make sure you do it at the right time. Now, when you hit people with a Power Surge, you do get a small increase in your own movement speed. You get a little bit faster, and that is a part of the passive and the way the second ability works. But what it's going to do for you is it's going to help you get a little bit quicker to the enemy who's slowed and you're kind of a little bit sped up, and then you're going to be able to go through them with the rising uppercut, the first ability, and you're going to knock them up in the air, but you're going to end up on the other side of them. And what that's going to allow you to do is then to use the ultimate explosive KO to push them back away from, or wherever you want them to go. I like to go through them, end up on the other side, and push them back while they're landing from the knockup and get them exactly to the point where I want them to be. Now, you're going to want to follow up that ult with another immediate Power Surge because you can cast it again. And with the way that I build him, and you guys will see that, you're going to want to follow up the first ability and the uppercut with some auto attacks, and I'll show you why when we talk about part 2, the phenomenal build that I'm going to show you guys is going to change your Raz lives forever. So that is my main tips and tricks. I also use the second ability, Power Surge, the Fireball, to poke, because if you can hit somebody with 1 or 2, especially mid and late game, you can essentially go in and finish them off with 1 uppercut and 1 basic attack, because Raz's damage is ridiculous, especially with this build that we're going to show you guys in part 2. So that is my kind of tips and tricks on the second ability. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the ultimate explosive KO. Explosive KO has many phenomenal uses, but number one obviously is to redirect not just 1 or 2 or 3, but as many people on the other team as you want to redirect and position them. That's what Raz does best. So yeah, consider yourself free to be able to hide in a bush while your team engages in a team fight. Freaking either uppercut through the enemy team or just get from behind them and push their enemy team into your team and get them killed. Obviously, don't get your team killed in the process. Be smart about how you're using that. But the explosive KO is a phenomenal ability that will help you guys win games. Now, on the flip side, let's say your team is getting smoked and you go, hey, we need to bail. And you can use explosive KO to move the enemies back, because you will give them a little bit of slow and, you know, all that kind of stuff, and you'll be able to get away. So what we're talking about is I actually like to push them back. I will throw out a Power Surge, the second ability, which will essentially slow them down and speed me up, and I'll GTFO, you know what I'm saying? If that's what the situation calls for. Alright guys, that is the end of the tips and trips section. The only thing I'm going to leave you with now is I'm going to tell you guys one more tip if you choose to use my build, and you should, because it is the best build on planet Earth, and that is that follow up your abilities with basic attacks as often as you can, because with the build that I'm going to show you in the next video, you're going to do an insane amount of damage on your basic attacks, not just to heroes, but to enemy towers. So stay tuned for part 2 of this video, which we're going to talk about builds and show you guys Raz kicking butt in action. I'm really excited about it, guys, but thanks for watching this video. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you enjoyed the content, you enjoyed the video and the guide, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, help us grow so we can make more and more videos for you guys. Comment below and tell me what you guys thought about the video, what you think about Raz, and what do you think about all that kind of stuff. I always love talking to the viewers, but thanks for watching, guys, and as always, till next time.